Well, folks, Wizards of the Coast has done it. They are reprinting Black Lotus, along with the Power 9, dual lands, and a bunch of other cards that are desirable from the past. Also alongside a bunch of cards that aren't. As part of Magic's 30th anniversary, we are getting Reserved List reprints, except they are Proxies. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video. We're going to talk about the Endgame. There is going to be some speculation, and the video starts right now. Highest level of gratitude to our patrons who power the channel through Patreon. Check out the Patreon link in the description to learn about monthly giveaways, VIP Discord access, and even our official playmat. Hello and welcome to the day. Thank you for spending your time with us. I am surprised as hell. Welcome to another episode of Jake and Joel Are Magic. Today we are talking about Black Lotus being reprinted. Now, our Discord was on fire today. If you want to get involved in the channel, check out the Patreon link in the description of the video. That's also where you're going to find all of the articles that you'll need in order to get well versed on this subject. If you didn't see what happened today, it's crazy. October 4th is my birthday, and I am always keenly aware that on my birthday, crazy things happen in MTG. I remember years ago, I believe it was October 4th, there's always announcements, but on October 4th, we get crazy announcements in MTG. One time it was expeditions. Today, we have got the news that Black Lotus, Power 9, dual lands, a bunch of highly desirable cards that we thought would never be reprinted ever again are getting a reprint. Pretty crazy because Wizards of the Coast said in the past, we are not going to reprint these cards in any capacity. They've even said that, you know, cards with certain backs, even if it had a different back, it wasn't going to be reprinted. Well, now we see that they are. These packs are going to be very expensive, $250 a pack. That's if you get it at, I guess, whatever we can say the MSRP of this product is. If you like these videos, click like and subscribe. That's a great way to support the channel. We're going to talk about this and then make sure to stick around to the end because we're going to talk about some speculation and some endgame. I have some thoughts on it. I guess I'm just kind of going to let you know how I feel as a collector since 2009 and somebody who has a very small reserved list position of cards. I don't have a ton of them. I only have 4 dual lands myself. I have a Gaia's Cradle. I have some masterpieces that are very difficult to acquire. I have a couple copies of Wheel of Fortune. I have like a Foil Academy Rector and a couple other cards, but nothing like some of these massive collectors that have huge reserve list positions. I'm not super upset about the fact that they're reprinting Proxies. What I'm super upset about is that these Proxies price out people that would just want to acquire the cards. It's like Wizards of the Coast has decided, okay, we're going to reprint Proxies of Power 9, but we're going to make them in such a way where you have to buy random, super expensive booster packs. Now, keep in mind, a box of these packs is 4 packs. It's $999. So it's essentially $1,000. If you're getting it for $1,000, it'll be like $1,100 after tax and shipping, probably more. But what's crazy about it, they've decided to reprint Proxies in such a capacity where you have to get lucky and get the right ones. They are doubling the number of dual lands. Again, you can read all about this in the description of the video. So there are going to be more dual lands. And as far as EDH players are concerned that want Proxies from the mothership, this is going to be a great time to try and snipe some at a good price. So these Proxies, even though they have a different back, even though they're not going to be tournament legal, they're still going to be very expensive because they're coming out of a product that is pricing out a huge percentage of the player base. We have a product that is specifically designed for whales. Anybody buying a $250 booster pack, they're doing it because it's just like whatever money. So look, let me say this. If I knew that I was going to pay $250 to open a booster pack that was guaranteed to contain like a Lotus and a couple dual lands, even as Proxies, high quality Proxies from Wizards of the Coast, I would be like, okay, I know that I'm getting these cards in this booster pack. I know that I'm going to want them for EDH. I'm sure Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro, they see all of these altar artists that pop up and they make Proxies, and people want cool Proxies for their decks. We see them all over the place on Instagram and in Facebook. And so they're like, okay, we're going to make Proxies and we're going to cash in. But we see in the article that you can get stuff like, you know, the Hive You can get old, terrible cards as well. So you're opening a $250 booster pack. You're getting commons, uncommons, and a single rare. And you don't even know that that rare is going to be good. You're not guaranteed to get a proxy Black Lotus that isn't tournament legal. And we saw in Dual Masters, Shadow Parallel Masters, whatever the product was called, that Black Lotus has been printed in a high quality proxy. If you wanted one for Cube, if you wanted one casually for Vintage or something like that, kitchen table play, and you wanted a high quality proxy, there's one out there. It's like 20 bucks. It's like $25. But this one that's coming specifically from the mothership, we should just say Hasbro, this Black Lotus is going to have a huge premium, probably a couple $1,000 if you're opening a pack that's 250 bucks. So it makes me think, you know, if you wanted people to have these proxies, say I'm Wizards of the Coast and I'm like, we want more people to have access to these cards. Let's just make a $250 premium pack. It's going to have the Power 9. It's going to have all the dual lands. You know exactly what you're getting. Everybody's getting some high quality proxies from Wizards of the Coast. That's a great way to make money. But what they did was they said, no, these packs are going to be randomly collated, just like any other packs. You're buying high quality proxies from Wizards of the Coast at an insane premium. So why do this? Why make cards at such an insane premium? You're cashing in on the reserve list. You're saying, okay, we don't really care about the reserve list. This is, I mean, if you're doing it with Lotus, you're going to do it with any other card. I've had some people say, you know, if they're doing this with Black Lotus, what are they going to do it with? Well, they're going to do it with everything. If they've done it with Lotus just now, they're testing the waters to see if it's going to be successful. They're looking at how much backlash they're going to get. But also in our Discord, we saw some people talking about some interesting discussions, and obviously speculation is all over the place. But one thing that was interesting is the amount of money that they'll make from this, if it's successful, if it just flies off shelves and sells out, will be enough to fight any sort of ramifications that come from this announcement. Clearly you have some people that are like, the sky is falling, they're burning it all to the ground. But when you make a pack that's $250, and I know I keep stressing this, I keep emphasizing this because it's a really important point. It's a really important calculated thing that they've done, making highly desirable Power 9 reprints, dual lands, other reserve list staples, selling the reserve list promise. I know it's not a legally binding thing, down the river. And I'm not somebody who really cares about the reserve list either way. I think the reserve list is good for the game because it gives the game clout. If every single card is reprinted, then we become like a Pokemon or like a Yu-Gi-Oh, where like one card per set is desirable and then everything else has just been reprinted into the ground. It makes the game cool because there's so many different formats that you can play. You can play Pauper if you're on a budget. You can play budget commander decks. You can play high power decks. You can play Vintage. You can play Legacy. You can play Modern. You can play Pioneer. You can play Standard. Or you can do it the way that they designed it to do. You could do Draft. You could do Limited. There's so many different ways to play that I think the reserve list is kind of cool. Even as someone who doesn't have a lot of it, I don't have any Power 9, I still think it's cool. Those are highly desirable cards. Now, do I want a Black Lotus out of this product? Yeah, I think that would be really cool. I would love to have that for the collection. But I wish that if they were printing proxies, they were doing it in such a way where they're just putting the cards in people's hands. Just like, pay us $250 once, get all of the proxies, and you have them for Commander, limited time product. It's going to sell out. Everybody's like, okay, I'll go buy the high quality proxies from Wizards of the Coast. But randomly collated makes me think that, what is the end game with it? I mean, clearly they do it with other sets. But if we see now that they are willing to reprint the reserve list, even on a card back that's different, which negates some of the comments made in the past where it would never happen in any capacity, then are they doing this so that eventually they can abolish it completely? Or if they don't abolish it completely, are they going to sanction officially printed Wizards of the Coast. And I'm not talking about your cool card that you commissioned off Instagram, not talking about your cool altar that you got off Facebook or that you did yourself. I'm talking about officially printed, like from the World Championship decks in the past, all the gold border stuff, and now these newly printed official proxies. Are these just going to be tournament legal in the future? And this isn't something that I want. It's what I think is going to happen. This is where my gut goes. And I know that you probably have a reaction to it. Magic the Gathering players are notoriously known for whining about things. So, you know, I think it's not just Magic players, it's gamers in general. And I think where that whining comes from is because it's people that are passionate. They're passionate about their fandom, whatever it is. They want to make sure that it's done right. You know, Commander's a pretty casual format. I never get upset if somebody has a gold border card. And these days, with all the different secret layer crossovers, I'm sure a gold border card is the thing that people are least offended by. And we didn't even get to talk about secret layer in this video. And there's a huge, awesome secret layer coming out that's going to have Chrome Mox in it. You know, we got to talk about the end game. And I do think that the end game with this, there has to be some sort of, do we make proxies legal in Commander? Something like that. I don't know if it's going to be across all formats. I know that Vintage is already such a hard format to break into that a lot of those tournaments, they just let you run proxies. That way there's support. You know, there's like nobody playing Vintage really. You have to go to big events just to be able to play something like that. Then you have a format like Legacy where, you know, people want dual lands so that they can play that. There's some decks that really only need dual lands to be completely optimal, and then you don't need a bunch of cards from the past. But these new cards that are being reprinted, they're not tournament legal until they are. Or does Wizards of the Coast just say, hey, let's get rid of the reserve list and cash in on this? Reminder that this is Q4, and we have now seen what Hasbro is ready to do. And we see kind of their game plan moving into the future. So my question is, you know, and I'm sure you're passionate, so definitely leave how you're feeling in the comments. I know that some people are like, whatever, they're just proxies. And there's some people that are like, well, you know, if they were proxies, wouldn't they just give us all of them together in a pack or something like that, versus having to buy individual $250 packs that have literal commons, uncommons, and a single rare? I mean, you can get pretty unlucky. Even the collector boosters that come out these days, they are jam-packed with foils, and then you have 5 rares at the end, and some are in a showcase border, and some are borderless. This is just a non-tournament legal proxy pack that costs $250, and you have to get the right rare. And a reminder, the card is not tournament legal. You're paying for a high quality reprint made by Wizards of the Coast that's a proxy. So I'm like, damn, do I want this? Yes. But at the same time, I'm like, dude, this is the most insane cash grab I've ever seen in my life. And I know that people hate it, and it's going to sell out anyway. It's going to do incredibly well. I know that that's what people are going to hate to hear me say, but I think it's going to do incredibly well. I think it's going to prove that people are just going to FOMO out. They're going to do their best to get it. There's going to be people that want to keep it sealed. There's going to be people that are just like, it's a reprint of Black Lotus. It's a reprint of the Power 9 and the dual lands. And no, it isn't some Etsy artist that did it. It's Wizards of the Coast. And so if they do say, you know, these are officially sanctioned, we realize that these formats are dying and we want people to be able to play these formats. Well, Hasbro's already cashed in and they have all the money, and people were talking about this in the Discord as well. They can just fight it. And even though Magic the Gathering players are, you know, they're notorious for their whining, they're notorious for their passion, you have to say, are you really all going to group up and fight the machine on this? Or is it just going to be like, oh, you know, I really hate it, but, you know, I got other stuff going on. You know, because I know that some people are really pissed, especially people that have a huge, huge position in old cards. And, you know, I'm not on their side or against them. I'm just reporting exactly how it is, you know, exactly how I see it. I know that Wizards of the Coast will do well with this. And then maybe we just see these high quality proxies start popping up in collector boosters. Maybe they're like, okay, serialized proxy Black Lotus 500 in total that exist. They're going to be in return to Dominaria in the future. But if people aren't buying standard products, and if people aren't, you know, if the Legends inclusion in Dominaria United Collector wasn't enough to get people to buy those booster boxes, they are going to figure out ways to put the cards into the products that are going to sell them. And if that means cashing in on nostalgia, if that means reprinting Black Lotus as a proxy, then that's their prerogative. That's what they're going to do. Do we see proxies become legal in the future in order to compensate for these insanely priced cards that people are going to go out and try to get as proxies? If I'm getting dual lands in a $250 booster pack, or if I'm paying $1,000 for a box of these packs and I open Hive and Lace and a bunch of garbage, and then I get lucky and I open one Volcanic Island, am I allowed to play that Volcanic Island? Obviously, I'm going to be able to play it in Commander. This is what you call high risk. A lot of the time, we're here talking about how do you find something that's low risk? How do you find something that's like a good investment? This is pretty high risk. You're going into this knowing that the card isn't tournament legal, and then you're hoping to pull the right one, and then you know that the product is insane, and you could go buy a Black Lotus proxy that's printed in high quality from Duel Masters that just came out, and there's also another one that exists if you want that one. Or you could buy this product, and you could spend an insane amount of cash to open some old junk from the past that isn't tournament legal, that's printed in 2022 today. Had to get that all out. See you on the other side. Let me know what you think about this. I look forward to talking about it.